Okay, today on the show, our guest is Jen McConnell from McConnell Real Estate Partners in Charleston, South Carolina. Let me tell you more about Jen. Now, Jen was fortunate enough to start her real estate career when she was just a junior in college. Now, with over 17 years of experience in the industry, she has a particular expertise in luxury real estate and custom home building. She's a certified luxury home marketing specialist through the Institute for Luxury Home Marketing, where she has been awarded the prestigious $1 million Guild Award. Jen has also earned the coveted Realtor of Distinction Award, achieving the highest rank possible as a Platinum Award winner through the Charleston Trident Association of Realtors. The Platinum Award Jen places in the top 2% of agents in Charleston. And in 2021, Jen and her husband Josh opened their own brokerage on the Isle of Palms in Charleston, South Carolina, and formed McConnell Real Estate Partners, where she is the broker in charge. Also, they run a foundation, which we're going to be speaking about as well. To learn about everything Jen and McConnell Real Estate Partners, visit their website, CHS Estates. Estates is plural, CHS Estates.com. There will be a link to that in the show notes. You can just go to our show notes, click on chsestates.com, and check out everything Jen and Josh. Jen, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so
I am
excited.
so excited because Charleston is just one of those places that I just feel like everybody who visits it, that I know seems to come back saying, "Oh, I wish I were to live there." And you were telling me off camera that you're getting like 60 plus people a day move to the Charleston area, which is just
Yes,
incredible.
from elsewhere. But not only that, but there are so many people that come here to vacation and then literally they just stay. They're like, someone will
Yeah.
pack up my stuff. I'm just going to hang here until it's here. No big deal. They literally just come and stay, especially during COVID. Oh my gosh. The whole state of New York just basically came here and they're like, oh, we're just not going to go home. We're just going to stay here now. We're going to move here and buy a house. So,
Which
yeah.
is obviously great for real estate agents. However, I imagine there's a lot more real estate agents probably getting their license these days in Charleston. I assume it's probably. I bet the real estate, the realtor population's. I don't know if it's doubled, but there's got to be more realtors now. So it's good. It's good, and it's also there's a lot of competition, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, we have close to 7,000 licensed agents. But the top like 500 make up 98%
They
of the
do it all.
business.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. We do the in Chicago here. We have about 47,000 agents total, and same sort of thing. It's like the top
Wow.
20% do
Yeah,
most of the because there's so many people that get their license as a part-time thing, or they just do it to buy
right.
and sell their own properties. But what's
Oh,
really cool
yeah.
about Charleston is you have like a lot of advantages, right? You have this beautiful, wonderful city, wonderful weather. You have beaches, you also have vacation rentals. Like there's so Charleston just had and the rich history, but just so much going for it. It's just, oh, I'm
Oh,
so jealous.
there's so much. No matter what your lifestyle is, it's here in Charleston. I guarantee you. No matter if it's the arts, if it's golfing. I mean, tennis is
Yeah.
huge. I mean, everything, boating, like everything that you fishing, anything you want to do is here for sure.
Oh, I'm so
So,
jealous. And I'm a tennis and not as much of a golfer, but my dad's a golfer. And he's been golfing all over the Carolinas for the last 30 years, like 3-4 times a year. So we were lucky enough to go to Kiowa Island.
oh,
Actually, not together. I take it back. We didn't go together. We went at different trips. I was thinking we did a father-son thing, but we didn't. But anyway, that's also right near you as well.
oh
And
my God,
that's amazing too.
stunning. Yeah, and one of the most impressive courses on the East Coast for
Oh,
sure.
the ocean
Yeah,
course. Oh,
yeah,
it's funny.
absolutely.
Not that our audience doesn't care about my golfing, but I will say, if you're a golfer, you need to have an experience once in your life where you have a caddy. And the first time I ever had an actual caddy like walk with me through the course, which is a very strange experience, was at the ocean course in Kiowa, and I was like, thank God, because I was like, what do I do here? It's like literally one of the hardest courses in the world,
Oh, I'm
and I'm
sure.
not. Okay, enough about that.
Yeah, big haters for
Nobody's
sure. Yeah.
logging on to hear my golf stories. We're here to talk about you. So how did you got into real estate when you were in college, which is not very common for the guests that I have on the show. So how did that happen, and why?
Sure. So when I was a junior in college, I'm a marketing and finance major, and I had to have an internship. And I don't know, I just always knew that I was going to go into real estate somehow. And I don't know what kind of led me in the new construction realm, But I knew that there was a home builder on Highway 30 in Ashland, Ohio, which is where I went to college and where I grew up. And I just knew that that sounded like a really cool job and I could do that as an internship. And maybe they would pay me, maybe they wouldn't. So I just literally like walked in, like had my resume. I'm like 20 years old. And they were like, well, oh, we were hiring, but we just hired the fill the spot. And I was like, well, that's just not going to work. Like, I just need to talk to your manager. Like, that's all. Like, I promise I'm not here for like, I just wanted like a job, just for internship. It'll be fine. Like, I just talk with them. And they like eventually like edged my way in and let me talk to the manager and I ended up getting it for like a sales assistant position. I was like, okay, well, this is cool. And then, I mean, I loved it. I loved it. It was custom construction at like 20 years old. You're designing these ridiculous houses in Ohio. They were like, what you kind of see everywhere, like on a farm or,
Sure.
some nice houses for sure. But then, they opened right when I was graduating. So a year later. And they were like, you want to go to Charleston or you want to go to Wilmington? I was like, well, I've never been to Charleston. Let's do that. Like, I've heard it's great. Let's go there.
Yeah.
So I moved down here, didn't know a person at all. I opened up their first South Carolina location in Charleston and been
Wow.
down here ever since. And that, and I was 21 at that time, designing like ridiculous beach houses, multi-million dollar beach houses. Like, who gets that opportunity, right? Like, it was wild. So that's really how I got my start in new construction. And then I did new construction for 11 years. And then once I got married, started to have kids, then I was like, oh, I don't really want to work 6 days a week. Like, I want to kind of have a little more flexibility with my schedule. So then I got my general brokerage license in 2008 and then actually didn't really start doing it full time until like 2016.
Wow.
So
Because
it's
you
still
were busy
like
doing
that.
mom stuff and
No,
you were
not
busy.
really. Like, so I had my kids I had my daughter when I was still working in new construction, but literally like on maternity leave, I was like, I can't go back to 6 days a week. And
Yeah.
we're just going to general brokerage at that point. So that's when we kind of came back to Charleston, got on Isle of Palms, and yeah, been in general brokerage since then. So 2016 is when I've been in general brokerage. So
Wow. Well, as somebody who I don't run our brokerage, but I know the work it takes as being part of the management staff at our brokerage. And, I almost wonder, are you working even more now that you run your own brokerage? Are you able to have better balance because you have, some of that flexibility?
the work-life balance is an interesting topic, and I've been in several masterminds about that. But I do feel very close to that balance. So I found that if you're really stressed and running on fumes, there's either one of two things, or both things missing, either leverage or systems. And I was missing both. Like in
Yeah.
2016 to like 2019, it was really just running on fumes. I was the EA, I was the assistant, I was doing all the transaction paperwork. I was going to every closing, going to every home inspection. I was selling, I was going listings. It's impossible, right? Like, you can't keep up with that stuff. And then I was
And
still having,
and by the way, you're a mom
oh,
too. And
by the
yeah,
way, I have
yeah,
like a 1 and 2 year old. So it's
yeah,
like, it's just not, and I have a marriage, like it's not sustainable.
yeah.
So I found that really quickly. And we had a major life change in 2018 that kind of shook our world. And that's when everything kind of came into perspective, to be honest with you, that it was like, look, like, it's just not going to operate that way. Like, we deserve a better life than that. And things just need to change because we need to savor every moment we can with our children, ourselves, our marriage, everything. So it just kind of worked itself out that way. And now I'm just very focused on, if we have a pain somewhere in our business, it's a system or a person that we're missing. And that's really what it comes down to, I think.
Wow, that's a really concise, and I was trying to sort of poke holes in it as I was thinking, is it always systems or people? And okay, maybe it's not always that, but like probably 95% of the time at least it is that. So I was thinking like it's true enough, and I was just reflecting in my own business because whatever my own struggles, and I was thinking she's right, it's systems and people. So I think that is such a great point. And I always like to remind our audience too, if you hear this you go, well, easy for them, they're top producers and they have unlimited resources to be able to hire people, and it's like, well, maybe or maybe not. But the good news is, for anyone listening who maybe is a solo practitioner, maybe is newer to the business and doesn't have those resources, you can hire help from all over the world these days. Using like upwork.com is a great place to look. And the point is you don't, if you can't afford someone local and you have tasks that can be done, virtually, thank God there's so many options now, and people can afford to have, more of that virtual assistant experience, at a really nice price point.
Well, yeah. And I mean, I would honestly say, like, even 3 years ago, I was not a top producer. Like, I was doing well compared to everyone else in my office. I was at a big brokerage, but nothing compared to what I'm doing now. And it's just because I think it's more focused on those systems first. And then I hired the people that can help with showings, help doing the EA work, help a personal assistant role, and really just allowing me to do what I'm good at, which is being in front of my clients, we're helping them get deals, listing homes. I mean, that's what I'm good at, is in front of people, not sitting here filling out my .loop docs, right? Like there's people that can do that that are way better than I am at that type of work. And I praise them for it because they know how to do it way better, and I could never touch it. So why try?
I couldn't agree with you more. And I know it's hard for a lot of our listeners and even for me as well. I'm not a practicing agent, but I work amongst agents, and just this idea of giving over part of your business to someone else to be able to handle. And it's like, what if they screw it up? What if they make mistakes? And I understand the fear there. But was that challenging for you to be able to give up? Because again, I can't do everything, but I'm used to doing everything. And if I give up my .loop docs to someone else, what if, it was that a fear of yours that like things would just all fall apart?
Oh, 100%. And it was so silly. Like I look back and I'm like, oh, I like literally worked skin and bone like for years. Like what was I thinking? So I was like, no, someone will mess up a document, and then like if it's better if I do it myself. No, it's not. 100% it's not. There is someone who is better with each skill set, and you have to figure out what your top 20% should be, and that's what you should focus on 100%. The other 80% that you're doing that you're not really that good at, you need to leverage that out for sure. Because that's gonna be their 20% then.
And even with documents, like transaction management companies are plentiful. They are all over. They charge, I don't know, 300-400 bucks a deal, and you only pay if the deal closes. And then that person, you have to find a good person, of course, but like you just,
Yeah.
there's a million ways to find good people to help with that. It's like for 400 bucks to never have to deal with paperwork again per deal. It seems like a pretty good deal to me.
Yeah. I mean, again, like I think that just staying in your lane, which I mean, a husband, wife, we own our brokerage together. So staying in our lanes is very important. But staying in your lane with what you're good at and knowing what you're good at is like the first thing you should find out if you're just becoming a real estate agent. Like know what you're really good at. Sometimes those agents are better at the paperwork, and maybe they need to be like an EA role and just a showing assistant. So then they get that
Yep.
interaction with people, but they can still do their work, which really they love to check those boxes. Whereas like I don't want to see the box. I just want to talk, and I just want to go, and I want to go show the houses and list them and do these marketing videos and do the fun stuff. So I think just always finding your role and staying in your lane is super important, and knowing what your role is coming as a new agent for sure. But yeah, I mean,
Boy,
you definitely do everything starting out 100%. And you do that until you're too tired and worn out. And hopefully you don't get to as far as I got, where I was like every day was working. I'm like, no breaks. That's just not fun. We're here to live, right? And give back. And that's what I realized kind of in just a few years ago. But like I said, like 3 years ago, I did like 8 million. Like that's not really a lot in our market at all. And so I think implementing those things, implementing leverage, implementing people, and implementing systems, like that's why we are where we are today. So for sure.
yeah, I agree. And I think it's a good place to talk about your sort of your true north and what, like, because you and your husband have created a foundation, and I want to, whatever you're willing to share about that, I'd love to share that with our audience, because I think, for somebody to find their why, or true north, is so critical, especially right now when the real estate market is changed, and realtors, a lot of them are struggling in most markets because inventory is changed and rates have changed. So having that sort of why to be able to kind of keep you going through some of the more challenging times, I think is really important. Tell us what your true north is, and why that's important to you.
So back in 2018, my son in 2017, actually, he was born in July. And then when he was 5 months old, he was diagnosed with cancer here at MUSC Children's Hospital in downtown Charleston. So that obviously was very earth shattering for us. But that day that he was diagnosed, I stopped. I did not talk to clients. My phone was off. Emails were cut off. Social media was cut off. I did nothing but focus on getting him cured.
Sure.
So, that's scary for real estate agents, especially
Oh,
I was just getting into general brokerage. I had just gone back into general brokerage 2017. So I was just getting back into it, kind of getting the groove going. And then, that hits and you stop. So we didn't care about that at all. I feel like everything will work out in the end. So he was cured, fortunately, by his 5 month or excuse me, 10 month birthday, I guess if you want to call it. So by 10 months old, he was cured of cancer, which was, of
Oh,
course,
thank
just like
goodness.
the best, you know, the best thing you could ever hear in your life. Like, and the fact that they could say cured, we were like, wait, did you say the C word? Like cured? Like,
Right.
you just always
Versus
like,
remission.
right, remission, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what we were expecting. She's like, no, he's cured. And that for us was just, it's everything, right? So that
Everything.
really propelled our business entirely and changed everything. So my husband left corporate America within 6 months of my son's cure, simply because we just realized like the grind and being responsible to a corporation who kind of really doesn't care if you're here or not or what's going on in your life. They want you to be there and be present. That really changed everything. So he came on board 6 months later, left corporate America. Once our son was able to go back to school, because there's kind of a lag once you're cured and when he can go back. I only worked, 6 months that year. And in that 6 months, I did $8 million. So that was my top year, to date. That as of then, that was my
It's an
top year in
amazing
real
6 months,
estate.
really.
I know, but
With all of the stress
and
of what's
with,
gone on. Yes, that's
well,
a
and I
lot.
did, and my phone did not ring, and that was kind of something in the middle of it. You're thinking like, well, dang, like I thought I would have had like a call, and no one, my phone was dead silent, and I'm like, wow, okay, we'll just have to start all over. Like it's all right, I can do that. I can start all over again. It's fine. Like whatever I got to do, just get this boy cured. And a week before my son went back to school, my phone started ringing again. Like it was just referrals coming in, agents from other markets sending referrals, repeat clients coming back. Like it was a miracle. I mean, he's a miracle for sure, but like it was just that to me, I'm religious. That's God. That has nothing to do with me
Yeah.
at all. So that best year was definitely him. And then from there, we just kept doubling our business. And it really comes down to at that point when we realized like, I'm not going to grind 24/7, not see my family, not see my kids, not see my husband, and then just be worn out. Like who wants to go through life like that? So we're very intentional on where we spend our time, but then implementing those systems and the people that we really need to be able to run and run at a high rate. So this year we'll do 45 million, and
Right.
that was
Which
just
is
3 years ago where I did 8. So
Yeah, it's amazing. This idea of it's almost like saving up for a rainy day in a sense, because this idea that you guys had your obviously your child was struggling with a very serious illness, and that takes all of your attention, and of course the business does have to go on pause. And then when you said when you come back, it's like, oh boy, my clients, they've sort of disappeared for a while, and maybe they won't return, maybe I do have to start over. And this idea of building systems so that when really unfortunate things like that happen, there's ways to keep the business to some degree chugging along. And so I imagine that's probably was motivation for you too, that should we need, should we want to spend more time at home or with the kids, or whatever the goals of the family are, you now have systems in place to support that.
hmm right. Well, I mean, I literally used to have my client, like my database was an Excel spreadsheet. Like
Sure.
I mean, that was just 3 years ago. So it's like, you have to start somewhere, like to say that very humble beginnings, but yeah, it's not sustainable again. So like why I was running the grind, because like I had to make sure I hit all these people, right? How many times a day and how many different weeks and 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out on an Excel spreadsheet. It's not sustainable. So I'm sure most agents have something much more sophisticated than that now, thankfully. But really what changed our business beyond just that is having that Northern Star, like we were talking about earlier. And that for us is to be able to give back to Bodie's oncologist. So my son's name is Bodie. His oncologist is Dr. Jacqueline Krivecka at MUSC. And she has one of the only pediatric research labs in South Carolina for cancer.
Wow.
So, Josh and I both had prayed to God when we were in the hospital once we found out he was diagnosed, that we just said, like, if he gets through this, like, we will do whatever we can. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. These are big things, and so I
Well,
appreciate they're the biggest things, honestly.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
appreciate your emotion.
yeah. And we just said we would do whatever we could to give back.
Yeah. And so you started a foundation, and
Uh-huh.
I the foundation is tell us about the foundation.
Well, yeah. So the first thing that we did actually, so 2018, he was cured. 2019, what we decided to do with our brokerage was we started setting aside a portion of every commission and donating that to pediatric cancer research. So 2019, we did $25,000. and then $50,000 the next year. This year we're already over 65,000, so I think we'll be close to like 90,000 that we'll donate just for the brokerage. So which is awesome, right? And we involve our clients. Like this is a very transactional business, and but on the buyer and seller side, like it's a very relationship based business. And so what really came super clear to us once we knew that we wanted to kind of base our business around giving back to Dr. Rebecca's research, because we need to really involve them into what we're doing. And so, every email we update them on where we are with our MUSC goal for the year, and we invite them to our fundraising events. And if we have client events, we'll have like a donate portion. And it was awesome because our clients they come through for us, and they're always so sweet. Like before we had our foundation, they would literally just like hand us checks and we'd be like, well, here, like I want to donate to your cause. And I'm like, well, I know, but I can't take your like donations from a brokerage. So it's like, I had to like come up with a way to like, but I knew we could do so much more too, right? So we'll always do, from our brokerage, set aside that portion that we'll always give back to Dr. Rebecca's research. And the awesome thing is her research is shared on a national level, by the way. Like she shares it with St. Jude and all these wonderful, amazing hospitals across the country. So that's the cool thing. It's not just here that her research is going. But then, so basically, once clients kept paying us money, and we're like, guys, like we can't do it that way. We were like, you know what, we can do it bigger. We got to do it bigger, and we just need to start our own foundation. So in 2021, we started our own foundation, the McConnell Foundation, and we had our very first gala last year in June. And we raised $45,000 for our first gala for Dr.
Wow.
Rebecca, which was like really cool. I know, like I don't have a gauge because like I've never done that before, but I mean, I had great mentors in the industry, and they were like, Jen, like that's really, really impressive. And I'm like, okay, good. I hope so. But like, I want to double it next year. So like, I'm like, I know, like I love it. So it's cool. It's cool. Like we've done almost $120,000 in the last 2 years to MUSC pediatric cancer research. So
It's
we
it's
just
really
want to make it,
incredible.
impact. We just, yeah. I mean, and again, like that's why, like I feel like I've been given the skills in what I do, real estate, that is helping me give this life to someone else, hopefully, and provide that research. So
Yeah.
that's really that's our Northern Star, like we were talking about earlier, and that's why we do what we do, and we are so clear, focused on what we need to do to be able to provide for the research for sure.
I mean, that's such an interesting and important thing that you said. And I want to make sure that our audience really heard that, because I suspect that when you and your husband and look at your brokerage and come up with sort of ideas of what you want to do for 2023 and beyond, I imagine, a big part of the conversation is, hey, we want to raise X amount of money or we want to donate and raise for this pediatric cancer research, and that becomes a huge motivator to keep the business growing and operating versus just and there's nothing wrong with, of course, one's own salary and one's own commissions, but it is, I imagine, because of how much it impacted your family, that becomes a huge motivator. So it's so interesting. You said we just want to be able to donate more. So in order to do that, we have to do more business and raise more money. And I think that is such a really a beautiful thing. And I really applaud you for finding that North Star and then taking action, right? And realizing that so many people, don't take that kind of action, and not to judge them in a different way, but it's really something that's super admirable, and you get your entire community behind you as well, and everyone now is wanting you to succeed. So I applaud you for that, for sure. Let's talk a little bit more about systems, and because you were talking about and I've interviewed people on our show that still work out of an Excel spreadsheet, and that works for them and great. But there are more sophisticated options. And so I'm just curious on like how you went from Excel spreadsheet to more automation, right? I obviously, let's just tell me sort of what that journey was like for you.
So the top priority, of course, when involved with clients is to provide the top tier level experience. Like I kind of coin ourselves as the concierge level real estate. And so we want to I think my earbuds are dying. So I'm sorry. Let me know if you can't hear me for some reason.
No, you sound great.
Okay. So to provide that concierge level real estate, not only just, of course, being in front of them, but everything else. So before they meet us, what are they seeing on our website or what are they seeing on our social media? So it comes down, like for me, I'm the marketing kind of behind our brand. And so I look more at how we're presenting ourselves. We have a client moving truck, which is a 16-foot, fully branded moving truck, which our clients can use complimentary when they're moving, or even if they just buy something, a new sofa, they want to go pick it up. So just taking kind of the experience to the next level. When we started in general brokerage in 2018, probably 75% of our business was bought leads. Whereas
Sure.
now I'm at 5%, which really I'm not buying. Those are just major corporations that I pay referral fee to help their execs.
Sure.
So I do consider that bought, but so we're at a 95% referral or, repeat client base now. So what we've done, but our margins have not changed. So what we did, we took that money that you were using when you were buying your clients, and I put it into the customer experience and that client experience from, not just once they meet us, but all the way through years and years down the road. So that's your client events, but just elevating them and elevating everything that we do. Like we have a magazine that we give out. So instead of just like a one page, like I used to have like a one page double sided, like here's Jen McConnell. And, it was like, I don't know, it was nothing impressive, but like we have actual like magazines,
Oh,
like
wow.
we
That's
have
beautiful.
legit. Yeah. So like, this is the first thing anyone who meets anyone on, my husband or I, or we have it at a event, that's the first thing that they see. And then just elevating everything from there. So like a closing book is a hardbound. I mean, this is
Yeah.
like
It's
a legit
beautiful.
book, and so
Beautiful.
just fully, and it's everything from their inspections to like if they had invoices from repairs, covenants and restrictions. If it's new
I love it.
construction, we have their manual in there. So just elevating everything that we're doing to give that client experience so much more than they would ever expect. Right? Like that's our whole goal, is to be able to do that. And then we're intertwining that with who we really are. So connecting on that emotional level that who we are is we're a family that's supporting MUSC, and by you supporting our business, like we're able to do that on such a better level. And then they want to
Right.
get involved as well. So we're intertwined, like where it's not just a transaction at all, and it's not just a buyer or a sale or a investor. Like these are people who are in our lives, and that's the best part about it, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you're almost building continuing to add to this giant family that's all helping each other so that, the greater good can be accomplished. You said so much here in the last few minutes. I want to just
Sorry.
unpack a little of it. No, 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 no. No, this is no, in the best possible way. You said a lot. I want to talk about the truck because this is it's a simple idea really, but I don't know, I've been doing this podcast 5 years. Not one person has ever told me that they do this. I don't think anyone I've ever interviewed does this. So you guys went out and acquired a smaller moving truck for or I couldn't tell how big it is from the picture, but it was a really good sized truck that your clients can use sort of when they need it. So what was the impetus for that, just out of curiosity?
So moving is never fun, like no matter who
Ugh,
you are.
it's the worst.
And and like, yes, a lot of our clients definitely have the movers or moving company or relocation company doing the things, but we did find a lot of clients who are just like running these U-Hauls and they break down and they're not
Yes.
cute, which is like, what I love about ours. But like, they're just not a fun thing, and you have to go like all the way across town to get it. You can't return it there. It's a pain. So we're like,
Yes.
what is one concierge service we could provide that could help them in this one issue, like this one obstacle that they keep hitting? Well, let's get a moving truck, right? So we got this beautiful, like 16-foot brand new moving truck, and has hardwood floors in the bed because
Oh my
it's just how I
gosh.
roll. I know.
I didn't realize it
But
was
it's
that
just
nice.
cool.
Wow.
It's so pretty. Like it has, the sand ocean waves on the side and like a sand castle on the back. Like, and it's just such a cute truck. But the cool thing is like all of our clients love it. It's easy to drive because it's newer. So it like turns normal and you feel like you're just driving a big SUV. But we do give it to like the schools and our church whenever they need it. So it's just a nice tool that we can still give back, to churches, charities, whoever needs it at the time. And then our clients
Yeah.
get the cool benefit of they don't have to worry about renting a truck, and it's clean. You have to like a little dolly and there's a ramp and like it's just ready to go. Like it's just simplifying their life. Like that's what our concierge level is. What I expect and really require is that we just provide that next level service. So that was just one of the little things that we do.
I love that. And it's really, really smart also from a branding perspective, because of course people get to see this truck driving around town that says, hey, we'll use our truck if you use our services. I think that's obviously a constant source of exposure to the community. But it was interesting that you said sort of you were buying all or almost all of your business 3 years ago, and it's not, and now you're almost exclusively referral based, and it's not that your margins have really changed. You're just taking that money and investing it back into the client experience versus the just meeting new people, right? This idea of deepening the client relationship. I'm assuming the theory is that by deepening the client relationship and really going way above and beyond what the client might expect, even after the sale, then, they're more likely to want to tell all their friends and family, like, oh, you got to support the McConnell, real estate business, because, look at how all the cool stuff they're doing for the community and beyond. I'm assuming that was kind of the overall idea.
Yeah, I mean, we love our clients. And I know most agents say that and they do, like, we have fun with our clients. Like we go to we have a baseball game, we rent out the mezzanine and like all their kids come. Like I love seeing their kids grow older and get bigger. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's sweet. Or like the families who like moved here during COVID and they don't have any families. Like we become their family, right? And so it's just like you got to keep up with grandma and grandpa. You got to keep up with like the kids, and you got to just, it's just such a fun relationship business that I think agents forget. Like they're like, it's just a transaction. It's like once it closes, like, oh,
Yeah.
here's your card and your closing gift, and like, hopefully you'll keep my mind. But like, what's the statistics? Probably like what 86% I think is the set. Like they totally forget who you are, their agent is, once they close on the house, because you don't follow up. And like it's not just you're following up, but like you genuinely should be interested in like your clients and what they have going on.
Well, you mentioned, paying attention to kids and grandparents and all of these things. These require systems, right? Because of course,
Yeah.
with hundreds of clients, it becomes more and more difficult to be like, oh, so and so's child is entering first grade, and I should probably like reach out and just say, hey, good luck with your, first grade or whatever. But how do you do that? How do you keep it all organized? Because that's a lot of work.
So you think about that, right? So if you look at your client base and you figure out what pods they're in. So we have the newlyweds, no kids. We have kids, young family with young kids. We have families with older kids. You have, retirees. So kind of break everyone up into your pods. And then you say, all right, well, if I'm a young family, or if I'm a young couple, don't have kids, what do I want to do? I want to go to happy hour, right? So like, all right, we're going to target them and do happy hour. And we know that probably Jen and Josh aren't coming because they have Bennett and Bodie at home because they can't get a babysitter on a weekday. So like we know that that's just going to be our first time home buyers, younger home buyers, or maybe even empty nesters will come happy hour. But then we know like the baseball game, right? We know that the kids, families with the kids are going to come to that, right? Well, if we go to a brand new restaurant downtown on the water, we know that's probably going to be more of our empty nesters. Like, so look at your pods, who your client base is, and do those events specifically for them. Like one thing that we do, for instance, for kids, like you were just saying about school. So every August, we take personalized cookie boxes to every single kid of our clients. And it has like 3 little cookies. One's like a pencil, one is like an apple, and one's a chalkboard. It has their name written on it. And so it's like, have a great first day of school, Harrison or whoever. And we deliver those to their house the first day of school. Like that's not something I have to be like, okay, Jonathan has a kid, Amanda has a kid, like I need to make sure I reach out to them individually. No, they know that every August they need to look their emails and they can register for that cookie box, and it's going to come to their inbox, the 1st of August. We know that. So it's just a guaranteed thing. And then that's a system, right? And so I just copy that e-blast from last August and I change it to say this year's date, and it's coming out. So it's super easy. So just things like that, like just really being intentional with your touches is something that we focus on. And then what do our clients really want to do? Like they don't want to come to my office and like have happy hour. No, I mean, they want to do that. They want a cool place. Oh my God. I think both of my headphones are dead.
That's okay. You're still sounding great. So keep going.
Sorry. So just really, again, like knowing your clients and targeting your business. So we look at our calendar year, we start in November, and we look at the whole next year, and every single month we plan out exactly how we're going to touch our clients and what we're going to do with them. Like we're going to meet up in person. If it's not in person, then we're going to deliver the cookies. That's not necessarily in person. And so you just kind of break it up and make sure that you're seeing them, you're talking to them, and obviously you're touching them with your emails. If they're going to ignore you with everything else, or at least getting your emails. And if not, they're going to get your,
your quarterly newsletter that we mail out, so this will have updates. Like, this is a personal letter from me always. We usually always have this is about our gala, and then we always have something about the kids in there. Like, this was our baseball. So they're still keeping in touch with us. Like, even if they want to ignore us, that's totally cool. But I know that they're still getting, this in the mail. I know they're still getting our e-newsletter. And eventually they'll come out and come play if they want to. And if not, then that's fine too. At least that we're in front of them.
Yeah, it is interesting. I once interviewed one of the top realtors here in Chicago, and I was asking her, hey, why do you think you're so successful? And she was like, I wish I had a better answer for this, but I reach out and call every single one of my clients every week and just give them an update on what's going on. And I was like, okay, and what else? She was like, well, that's kind of it. She's like, I do a million other things, but she goes, I actually think that's the most important thing. And most agents don't do that. I was thinking, as you were saying that, to, you were talking about sort of even after the sale, doing, hey, every year we have the cookie thing for the kids, and in the fall, and we have all these fun events that people can attend, and they're going to get notified, and then they also get my newsletter and other pieces of mail from time to time. But it seems like you really are focused on just constantly engaging with your client and your prospect list, and it really seems to be obviously very effective for you. And it's interesting because you're still spending the same capital you were before, but you're probably getting a better return, I would assume, now, because you're now it's people who are clients. They're in love with you for what all that you guys do for them and for the the greater community, and then they're going to tell everybody they know. So it's really impressive. And so, as a marketing person, what advice would you have for somebody who is an individual practitioner, somebody who doesn't have maybe a ton of resources, or a team? What might you suggest to them to sort of help start to make the transition from doing everything to maybe working on some systems or hiring?
Starting out as a new agent. So, well, for marketing, like you said, marketing, I think social media for sure. It's free. You just need your time, which as a new agent, you have plenty of. That would be for sure. But then your systems, I think definitely you have to have a good CRM. We use Follow Up Boss. There's a lot of really good ones out there. We've been very happy with Follow Up Boss, and probably will always be with them. But they
are one of our sponsors. We love Follow Up
Boss.
Yay!
So I love Follow Up Boss.
I'm the biggest fan of Follow Up Boss.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm so sad I can't go to the Follow Up Boss conference in November. But so a really good CRM. Like, even if you're just starting out, it's going to cost you money, but you have to invest to be able to get money out. One book that I would definitely recommend as a new agent would be Profit First. Go buy that. Like, that is really can get you in trouble if you are a new agent and you're just spending. I got to have the best business card, best yard signs, best open house signs, and then you don't even have a deal. Like, do not go down that route. Like, definitely read Profit First, but then once you get that money, invest in that CRM, and it's going to be several $1,000s. You're like, for real? Like, I don't get any of that commission? No, it has to go back into your business if you're serious about it. So I think that, and then there's just so many templates in Follow Up Boss, as that'll get you on a good path. If you don't have a good foundation with your brokerage that kind of says, like, here's how you really do the transaction, and here's what you should do for follow-up. There's wonderful templates in that CRM, as many others, I'm sure. That would be my first purchase as a new agent for sure. And then, like I said, social media, that's how you're going to get your business. If you literally know no one and you don't have a good sphere where you are and you can't afford to buy your leads, then social media for sure.
And how, if you were in that situation, and I know you're not anymore, but if you were, what would you post? You're a marketing person, so I want to press just a little bit and find out, what kind of content would you post on social? Would you, and again, there isn't one right or wrong answer to this, but I'm curious on if you were starting out, what type of, because we say that to our agents a lot here at our company, like, oh, you should really do a lot of branding and promoting on social. And finally our agents were like, yeah, that's great, but like, what content? And so we had to really create a whole bunch of content that they could borrow and use, but not everyone has that. So I'm curious on if you were starting out, knew nobody, and we're like, okay, I'm going to do something on social, what kind of content would you work on?
So I would be the master of my market, and your market would be very much like where you live. Like I live on Isle of Palms, so I would be the master of Isle of Palms, not Charleston. Like that's just too broad. So I would be the master of Isle of Palms. I would have 100 videos of Isle of Palms. I would be doing open houses on Isle of Palms, even though they weren't my listings. I would be going through go and shows and doing video tours. So even if they don't know that I'm not with a client, they're seeing I'm doing this $5 million listing over the water and this infinity pool and these ridiculous details. They don't know that I'm not actually with clients, but I'm in the real estate world, and they're going to know I'm in the real estate world by what I'm showing. So I would definitely be showing all of that on social media, but again, knowing your stats. So you need to know the stats for your market and be the expert. Oh yeah, 223 Forest Trail just sold for 2.2. That's the highest one story that we've seen sold, not off the ground, in 2 years. Like you need to know your stats. And once you become the market expert and you're showing that through videos or reels or stories, or even just your grid, I think that you gain a lot of credibility that way, and people call on you real quick on Instagram, like, oh my gosh, and they feel like they know you, especially if they see you. I don't put myself on my own Instagram a whole lot, because I feel like I'm like on the truck, I'm like everywhere, so I don't know, I'm weird about it. But I think that if I were a new agent, I for sure would be, if I were just starting out.
I love that, is providing content to the community in large, about the community, restaurants, school districts, fun things going on in the area, also knowing the market stats. And the go and show is such a great idea. That's so we'll make this our final thing, because I think you've given us so many amazing tips, but the go and show is so you would reach out to other realtors who have listings and say, hey, I want to promote your listing. May I come over and do a quick video tour, or because if you don't have a client that actually wants to see it, have you found that most listing agents are receptive to that? Do you get some pushback sometimes, or are most agents?
I've never gotten pushback. Cool? No. So basically in our showing time, you can actually just say virtual showing, and you can just go through and video it, and then you can add it to your own reel or whatever later, and you can give them credit, which I think most agents appreciate on the list side, to say like, oh, Jen just listed this awesome listing on Waterway, like that goes far away, and then you get tagged on their page as well, which is good for your page. But no, I mean, I've never had pushback. I do $1 Million Monday every Monday on my social media, and sometimes I'll use other agents' listings for that, and very rarely, there's been like 3 in like 4 years, and I'm just kind of like, okay, that's fine. If you don't want me to help market your listing, that's fine. I'm like,
no, I guess
okay.
I guess I won't help give you exposure to sell.
I know. I'm like, why would this be a bad thing? And I'm giving full credit, of course, to whoever it is. So who knows?
So if
hold on, I think I lost you.
Ask agents, firms to up anyway. So we've been Jen, if you can, are you still with us?
I hear you now.
Oh, good.
Sorry,
good.
I lost you.
No, it's not you. It's Zoom is having an issue. So anyway, this is a great place to wrap up. So I want to mention just a couple of things about Jen. Number one, if you are a realtor and you have clients that, vacation out in Charleston area or are looking to maybe retire out there, obviously a lot of people do, Jen would love to connect with you. So Jen, what's the best way? Or by the way, if there are any buyers, sellers, renters who are listening to our show who are, either in the Charleston area or moving there or want to explore different, home options there, what's the best way someone should reach out to you?
They can text directly. My number is 843-300-7585, or my website, definitely check out, is chsestates.com. And honestly, we get a ton of vacationers. So even if agents are in town, and just to have a local, coffee sesh, and I would love to meet people from out of town. We have a ton of people relocating here from other areas who have to sell their home, where they are. So yeah, I'd love to have a coffee date with anyone.
Well, that is, the invitation is open. So anyone out there who has business in the Charleston area or who just wants to have a referral, so that if business comes up, you can now say, hey, by the way, Mr. and Mrs. Klein, I know you're looking looking to retire, maybe get a vacation home. I know somebody out in Charleston who, who's really good. So this is a great thing that you now can bring to your clients just by introducing, yourself to Jen and getting connected that way. And vice versa. Maybe she'll have people that are moving to your area, and so you guys can swap leads. So Jen, thank you so much for your service in of course, the foundation that you guys run and support, and the causes that are important to you, and also just being of service to this podcast. We are so grateful to have had you on the show. You're just obviously a really honest and compassionate and vulnerable person, and I think that is always something that we can all aspire to be more of. So thank you on behalf of our audience. We thank you for coming on the show, and on behalf of Jen and myself, we want to thank our audience too for sticking around to the end. And we ask that you do just a couple of Oh, by the way, Jen, if anyone out there who was touched by your story, if they want to help support your foundation, what's the best way that they can do that?
They can go to themcconnellfoundation.com, or there's links on our regular website as well.
And we will post a link to the foundation in our show notes as well. So please contribute, donate time, money, or both to this organization. To the foundation rather. And Jen, so on behalf of everyone, we thank you, we thank Jen, we thank our audience, and we ask that you just do two quick things before signing off. Number one, tell a friend. Think of one other realtor that could benefit from hearing about systems, people, and Jen's journey through real estate. Send them a link to this episode. I mean, also, she talked about her true north. Maybe there's somebody out there who's struggling, trying to figure out their purpose in real estate. This might just give them, the incentive they need to keep going forward and finding their purpose. Send them a link to our website, keepingitrealpod.com. We would appreciate it. And also leave us a review. Let us know what you think of the show. Whatever podcast app you might be listening to us, let us know. We take all of your comments very seriously, because the only way we can get better is if we know what you like and not like or dislike. So tell us how we can get better. Jen, thank you so much. And we will see everybody on the next episode.
Thank you, DJ. Appreciate it.